Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and in today's video I'm going to make a match review to discuss the future of TCG being TOONED. So don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best Yami masterclass with my knowledge that I used to win Nats and to almost qualify to Worlds, making top 8 at the Continental Championship. Already has over 5 hours of content and will eventually get to the point of even plus 8 hours of content because I will still taking care of this guide constantly within the next months and only for the price of $20. So give it a shot. And talking about shots, I want to give a shout out to Master for the kind words after he consumed the product that he just bought from me. Okay, thank you. But now this video is not for specific Yami purposes. We are here to discuss the future of this TCG once future cards are coming, to this side of the sea. So how does that future works and how the interactions work in that future? Let's talk about it. And in order to do so, I'm going to use the top 4 single one of the Japan World Championship qualifier. So let's begin, right? Now first, look at this stage. I'm not gonna lie, this preview, this environment that they prepare, these camera shots, like you can see right here, I really like that environment. It seems like not gonna lie, it seems nicer than what we do here, right? Like, look at this shit. Nice. So now the duel is going to be a TOONED mirror, and we're going to use this mirror match so we can discuss the future interactions and how Yu-Gi-Oh is just getting better. Because I know that a lot of crybaby dipshits are going to say, oh, but Mindscan is just Rotary, but even more toxic, is going to show everything and it's going to ruin the game, blah, blah, blah. And the same shit that I've been hearing for crybaby dipshits for over 20 years at this point in my life, okay? So instead of doing that stupid shit, we're going to actually analyze what is happening and the beautiful logic behind it, okay? So let's see how it works, this mirror match. Now, I'm pretty sure the one on the right or the one on the left is starting, right? Okay, so let's see. We're going to read the new cards too every time they are showing up so we can have an understanding of what is happening, right? Because all of these cards are literally new. They're not even hitting the TCG yet, but they will be eventually. So better to kind of make a foresight of what's happening or what will happen, right? So we are here just waiting for the opponents to play. Funny enough, they have 60 minutes. What the fuck, right? And this is top 4. That's very interesting. So here, well, this is not a new card, but this is a card that is getting a whole lot new value. This TOONED bookmark or something like that. Well, basically what it does is you can add a TOONED word from your deck or any card that mentions TOONED word in its stats. So thanks to how the new cards are made, all of them basically mention TOONED word. Therefore, this card can search any of the new support and a lot of the old cards that may get new value thanks to those other new cards. So let's see here what he's going to add. He's going to add one of the new cards in the TOONED support. He's adding the Comic Cat. So what Comic Cat does? Shoutouts to Respect Yu-Gi-Oh for having these images. Now, Comic Cat. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn, which is very important because of what the other cards do too. Okay, so first, this card is treated as a TOONED monster while TOONED word is on the field. I think this is very interesting and important because this condition helps as an excuse in 2 different ways. The first one is that is the perfect excuse to make Comic Cat not being named TOONED or in its original name. This is very important because there are a lot of cards, a lot of TOONED cards that can search TOONED cards straight up. Like there is a spell card that is not once per turn that says add a Toon card from your deck. So if this card were called Toon Comic Cat or Toon Cat or whatever like that, it will be a huge problem because now you have not only the bookmark, but that other spell that I'm telling you to search this kind of monsters. So it was very important in the design of the card to not be called Toon. But at the same time, because of the logic of the deck, you actually need the card to get an interaction directly or a benefit in order to become a Toon or to take advantage of other Toon cards. And that is the other excuse that this first effect is perfect for. You can do this card is treated as a Toon monster while Toon World is on the field. This is the perfect excuse to mention Toon World in the text of the card. That makes this card searchable by cards like the Toon Bookmark without needing to make an extremely ridiculous effect in the card to mention Toon World. So I think that this is a perfect phrasing for the card in order to be added in the Toon pool. So let's go for the other effect. During the main phase, you can tribute one monster. If you control Toon World, you can tribute one opponent's monster, even though you do not control it. And if you do, special summon one monster from your hand or deck that mentions Toon World, ignoring its summoning conditions. That is, as you can see, obviously a very powerful effect. Not because it's just a starter, because it can tribute itself, which means that this as a normal summon can get you to everything in the engine, but it's a very powerful disruption too, because now you can tribute your opponent monsters during their main phase, and you are also getting another Toon monster that may be an interruption depending on what those other cards that you are special summoning does. But you know, time to time. So the Comic Cat here being searched by the Toon Bookmark also shows you that it's very possible that here the player in the left, no, in the right, sorry, the player in the right is trying to respect cards like, for example, Droll and Lockbird. Because if he used the Toon Bookmark to search for the field spell, he can get Droll and then he can do nothing about it, right? At least with the Comic Cat, he still has the ability to make the special summon, blah, blah, blah. And here we are going to see something very interesting too, because his next play won't be to normal summon the Comic Cat. After he checked that Droll and Lockbird is not a threat in this scenario, now he's going for terraforming. So just by this beginning, you can see how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is starting to change in the priority of what you are searching and with that what purpose in order to not get hurt by the best hand traps against your deck. So just by this sequence of effects, you can see that there is a lot of big decisions between the order of your choosings in this new meta. So that bullshit of, oh, it's just comboing and winning or putting Mindscan face up and winning, it's just crybaby bullshit, okay? So, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been about thinking, okay? Always was, always will. It's just a different kind of thinking. And we are trying to see what different kind of thinkings this new meta will show up. And that gets me excited. I don't know why people cry about Mindscan. I think they are just crybaby bitches. And with all due respect, but you complaining about this shit, you are just a crybaby that don't understand the game, the sport that you're playing. Like, with all due respect. Here, let's go for the Toon World and let's go read it. Because to me, this card is incredible, brutal incredible. So, Toon World, the perfect world. This is a field spell. You can only use the second effect of this card, named thrice per turn. What the fuck, right? Thrice per turn. That is ridiculous. That is why I told you it was important to remember that the copycat is limited to be once per turn. Because not all of these cards are going to be. So let's see what it does. This card's name becomes Toon World while in the field zone. That is brutal because obviously the Toon cards circle around having Toon World on the field, right? Now let's go for the other one. Once per turn, you can add one Toon card or one card that mentions a Toon card's name from your deck to your hand. Now this is brutal, right? This means that the search effect of the field spell is thrice per turn. As long as you can put 3 different field spells in the same turn, like 3 different toon word, the perfect word, you can make 3 searches. And not specific generic searches, like for example, Magical Meltdown only searching Alistair the Invoker, or or I don't know, like Malice in the Underground, banishing any Yami monster name that you don't have still. No, this search everything you want. This search from monsters, trap, and spells, and with the most insane generic logic to search that I've seen in field spells in the last years. It's not just any card that is named Toon, but any card that mentions any Toon's card name in their text. They don't even have to mention Toon word. As long as they mention Toon something, they can be added, either in the text or the name of the card. That's just too brutal. Historically in Yu-Gi-Oh, field spells being able to search something from the deck is brutal enough. But this card can do it twice per turn and can search more than other field spells could ever wish for. Now, the third effect is crazy too, and it's very important for you to understand. Before resolving another activated card or effect, you can banish one toon monster you control until immediately after that card effect resolves. Also, you cannot banish monsters with that same original name with this effect of this card's name for the rest of the turn. This is important because first, we all remember how the toon cards work in the anime, dodging shit all the time, dodging attacks, effects, hiding themselves in the toon word card. So this is a very good reference to that and how the toon monsters actually work way back almost 20 years ago. But, oh well, over 20 years ago now that I think about it. But it's also very useful for competitive purposes, not only against a lot of non-engine and engine from the opponents, but in the mirror match, as we are going to see while we keep going for the match analysis. But this is very strong. It's so strong that they needed to put the restriction of cannot banish monsters with the same original name with this effect, because it will be so ridiculous if you could do that. But now let's see how he's going to approach the duel, right? Draw and Lockbeard is not a thing anymore. So now he's going for this one right here. And what the fuck does that card do? Well, let's go and check it out. Dark Eyes Illusionate Faceless Mage. This is what I'll tell you. Like, it's so ridiculous that the field spell can search cards like this, that they are not even named to. But let's see how this card works. You can discard this card, then activate one of these effects. But you can only use each of these effects of this card's name once per turn. Finally, a card that is actually once per turn in their effects, right? Finally. Place one Mind Scan from your hand or deck on your field face up. Mind Scan is the main card that people are crybaby bitching about. So stupid, but okay. And the other effect is add one other monster from your graveyard to your hand that mentions Toon Word. Then you can special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. Why this is so important? Because this allows the deck to actually have an extender. This is the way that they can actually make a special summon, and thanks to this card mentioning Toon Word, it means that this field spell will be able to not just search starters, but to search extenders. And this extender has the unique ability to put the Mind Scan on the field since the beginning of your turn face up, right? And what does this card do that had people cry baby bitching so much? Let's see. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. While you have a Toon card in your field or graveyard, your opponent must play with their hand revealed. Also, you can look at their set cards at any time. This is the first thing, right? People are already complaining about Rotary because they can look at your hand, and in the future, they will have to play with their hand revealed at all times because of Mind Scan. To fulfill the requirements of the reveal is very easy, right? As you can see, I can only just activate this, search this shit, and this effect will already be applied thanks to Toon Word being on the field, right? And I know that this sounds kind of crazy, but at the end of the day, just like Rotary, this is just forcing you to make a new understanding of the privilege of information. At the end of the day, cards like Rotary or Mindscan, the only thing that they are doing is to push you to think outside the box, in the sense that all these years we've been thinking about the privilege of information, mostly being your opponent not knowing the cards in your hand or whatever you are setting, right? This is the main understanding that a lot of people do. But at the end of the day, the privilege of information also includes the sequence of your plays, or the hidden intentions behind the sequence of any specific play that you are making. So Rotary and Mindscan at the end of the day are just forcing you to take more advantage of that specific privilege when it comes to information, instead of the most popular privilege when it comes to information that has been used in this game by the people for over 20 years. Okay, so stop cry baby bitching about it. These kind of cards are not to cry about them, are made to play around them. These kind of cards are made for you to fucking think, to use your fucking brain, not to complaining like a little bitch. Is to think and see how this card forces you to play a different Yu-Gi-Oh, a new Yu-Gi-Oh, so your brain can be stimulated. This is the purpose of this game, to think, asshole. Oh, okay, sorry. Let's go for the second effect that have people baby bitching also. If you have a TOONED monster and a TOONED spell in your field and or graveyard, you can declare the name of one card that was not activated and did not activate its effects. After this, its effects in this chain. Negate the activated effects of cards with that original name until the end of this turn while this card is face up on the field. Now, it's very obvious to me that a card that shows all the main privilege of information of your opponent, or at least the most popular privilege of knowledge, and allows you to negate a card once per turn, sounds really crazy, right? But again, this is just forcing you to think outside your comfort zone, because at the end of the day, you need to focus also in the conditions for this card to negate something. It says that the card needs to not be activated, and that did not activate its effect in this very same chain that you are using the effect. What does this mean? If you are going second and they put the Mindscan around you, the first thing that I can think about, this card can negate Kilton Synchro. Why this card can negate Kilton Synchro? Because on my draw phase, I will have priority and I can just use it before they can have even the chance to say Kilton Synchro. So at the end of the day, this will just force you to try to play around the conditions for the card to negate, and that will determine the choosing of your non-engine, etc., right? Just like we are going to see in this match, for example. Because here, obviously, the opponent is going to use the effect. There is no TOONED monster in the graveyard still, so the only available effect here will be to put the Mindscan, right? So the Mindscan is on the field, and now this is crazy to me. This is very beautiful. This is something that I'm pretty sure we never have in high competitive Yu-Gi-Oh before. To play with your hand revealed as the normal development of your opponent's engine. This is brutal. This, to me, this gets me excited, bro. Like, to see this new Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just can't wait to play like this. Because now it's new. You need to find different ways to bluff, different ways to make your opponent mental mistakes, because this is a whole new environment. You playing with your hand reveal. You can bluff in a lot of traditional ways, but you will need to bluff, because at the end of the day, you don't play against the cards, you play against the man or the woman that you're facing, right? So this is amazing to me, and it's very exciting. And even here you can see, yes, he's revealing his whole hand, but his whole hand is also showing that he's kind of double checking a lot of the opponent's interactions, right? Because the mind shuffle is getting checked by the Ghost Ogre. Whenever this guy is going to try to negate something with the Mindscan, he can just change the Ghost Ogre and pop the Mindscan, and that's it. There's not that much that he can do about it to prevent that. So basically, that is what I'm saying. Like, for example, a lot of decks, if not all of them, are going to start to play Ghost Ogre. What is another thing that's going to change definitely a lot? You can see that he has done a lot of shit and he has gotten a lot of advantage without summoning anything from the extra deck nor the main deck, or any kind of special summoning at all, which means that this card Matsi is not going to be that useful against this deck, as you will expect it to be, right? Also, Mulcharmi Fugalos is not going to be that good against this deck, just for the development of the plays that you are seeing right now, right? So, but what you can see is that this guy already summon something from the hand, and a lot of the cards of the Toon cards will be a special summon from the hand too. So a card that will resurface once the Toon deck is here as part of non-engines, definitely the Ghost Ogre, even more than right now, and 100% the Mulcharmi Purulia, to the point that we may be seeing people main decking Purulia and side decking Fugalos, which is something that a lot of you may think wasn't going to happen ever, right? But ever is not something that you can apply to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, as you can see, which is very beautiful, at least to me. So, what does this funny rabbit do that was just summoned? Let's see, because that card is crazy. After this card is normal or special summon, during your main phase this turn, you can normal summon one monster that mentions Toon World in addition to your normal summon set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. Thankfully, this is a once per turn effect, right? Just imagine. But this is very powerful too, because this means that cards like Baylor or Imperm can prevent this rabbit to get you that extra normal summon. And because it's an extra normal summon, the Mat C is the shit again, right? So you can see the purpose behind the design of this card, because remember, these cards are designed for the OCG, right? And then we get them here, and Mat C is in the OCG. So I think it's very beautiful how they are playing around the Mat C with this kind of logic, making the monsters in the main deck stronger, more searchable, and by doing the development of their plays via normal summon. We already saw that with Q-Toon and Rotari and the Field Spell, and now we are seeing that logic being continued by the Toon cards. But also you can see how this exposed the deck even more to Mulcharmi Purulia, because making an extra normal summon is a second summon from the hand, right? So you can see the logic here being kind of crazy. And here, the logic gets even crazier, because you can see that he has two Bailers, right? So technically he can negate the rabbit. And why would you care to negate the rabbit if the extra normal summon is something that you can't prevent? Because of the second effect, the third effect, sorry. Once per turn, you can add to your hand or place face up on your field one Toon field or continuous spell from your deck, which means that this can get you another copy of this, which means that this can search again, because the searching effect is twice per turn, which is crazy, right? It's completely crazy. It's amazing. I'm just so excited for these cards. Also, a very nice detail, you can add or place face up. This is perfect because first helps the deck to play around Droll and Lockbear, because obviously it's a card that can hurt the deck a lot if you don't respect it, right? But it gives you the perfect excuse of for this card to not being able to search the other powerful spells or traps that are named Toon. For example, this card can search the Toon bookmark that then can search any other shit. Why? Because by you putting or place face up on your field, not only helps you to play around Droll, not only helps you to play around Anti-Spell Fragrance or some weird shit, it also helps you to put the funny Dark Rabbit in a position where it can only search field spells or continuous spells. Because in order to put those cards face up, they need to be just one of those two options. It can be a normal spell card being placed face up. You know what I mean? So I think the funny Dark Rabbit has a beautiful design, I'm not gonna lie, and the perfect excuses in order to not be stupidly powerful. Because you can see that the searching effect is not once per card's name, right? What does that mean? It means that if the field spell banishes the rabbit, even if it's just for a brief moment, the dark rabbit can search again. It's so powerful. I love it. I love it. I really love it. And here forces the opponent to waste one Baylor in order to avoid that dark rabbit to be two searches, right? And not only that, he needs to do that before the dark rabbit makes the effect in order for that rabbit to not dodge it via the banishment of the field spell. So here you create a very beautiful interaction when you can understand even more this card. Why, for example, the searching effect is not when it's not a trigger effect when it's normal or special. So you can allow the effect to be exploitable by banishing it and then using it again. Also, so your opponent can exploit cards like Imper or Baylor even while the field spell is there to prevent at least one of the searches because the field spell can only banish once per turn, right? So in that sense, even though you can think that this Baylor is being wasted, it's actually avoiding a search. It's really avoiding a search. So you can see why he's thinking about it. And after the monster is normal summon, he will decide to Baylor the card. Okay? So you can see that there is a lot of things to think and to do in this mirror match just by understanding this first place. Like we just stop to try to understand the logic behind this first turn, and we can see that there is a lot to discuss, right? Here we can see how powerful the rabbit is because he's using the two Baylors in order to prevent that rabbit to search anything at all. However, this puts the opponent in a very tough position in the sense that he's only going to have the Comic Cat and the Mind Reader, right? But now, and this is the other new card that I wanted to discuss, if this weren't enough consistency, another card that we need to consider is the new Terraforming. This card right here, by banishing 3 Synchros level 10, one being a Fairy Light or some shit like that, you can just search any field spell that you want. So you can see that this deck has a very big merit of consistency whenever they want to achieve whatever the fuck they want to achieve, right? And just as the last sheet that I wanted to show you, because I think this is already too big. And let me know if you want a next video discussing specifically the TOONED interactions between each other, which I think is very very deep too, and very thoughtful and very enjoyable to discuss and try to understand. But at the moment, what I wanted to leave you on is how powerful and diversified this field spell can be, because now regardless of the two Baylors, he is achieving the actual Toon World on the field. The opponent obviously not going to use the Ogre because he wants to use it as a check for the Mind Scan. And the Toon Bookmark in the graveyard actually protects from destruction the Toon World once per turn. So it will be useless too. And here, well, the opponent is thinking, trying to see if they don't want to overcommit, because he knows that the Matzi is there, right? And at this point, the Matzi has been useless. However, if he decides to search this guy right here, it won't be that useless anymore, because let's see. If you control Toon World, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can add to your hand or set one Toon trap from your deck, which is very relevant, at least for the purpose of the video right now, because if he add that in order to get the monster and the trap card, that you can put even under draw, because you can set the trap card, you don't necessarily need to add it. Very nice detail, again, for the deck to be actually good. But instead of risking that and the draw, because a draw can change everything in this game, and obviously a player that achieved a top 4 in a continental championship is aware of that, he instead of giving the draw, he's just going to search directly the trap that this monster put with its effect. He is deciding to lose the quick effect of this monster in order to avoid the opponent to have an extra play. This is a counter trap. So the last thing that I wanted to show here is that Konami, from the last 2 or almost 3 years at this point, has been trying to create this logic of combo decks, leaving a Baron de Fleur and a Borrel Savage in their endboards, but in a way that they are a lot more nerfed than the actual Baron and the actual Borrel Savage, because as you can remember, both of them are banned in the TCG. However, ever since then, a lot of the combo decks implies two negates, like for example, Yami with two Heralds, the Fiensmiths with the Mitsurugi Yami with one Herald and the Mitsurugi Trap. The Snake Eyes deck after they got banished. No, the Rizal Mitsurugi deck with the Rizal Cross as a negate and the Mitsurugi Trap as a negate, and blah blah blah. So a lot of the competitive top tier competitive decks had been leaving two negates, just like Baron de Flor and Apple and Savage were doing before they got banned. And you can see that the TOONED deck is just following that tradition that has been here for over 2 years at this point. The Mind Scan is a negate, and the TOONED Terror will be a negate. They are just not better negates than Baron de Flor and Savage, but two negates still. So this axiom that Konami is trying to build, you can just see it right here. So it's not even like the TOONED deck is doing something new in that sense, okay? So this is what I wanted to show you. If you enjoy it, let me know in the comments if you want more content analyzing this TOONED matchup and all the intrications that we'll be doing in the future. If you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your people. Also, don't forget about giving a shot to the best Yami masterclass that will keep getting updated to get to even over 8 hours. And well, I'll see you another day.